I'm going to call this segment What's Blooming in July. And so to start off, we've got this is Geranium Roseanne, one of my favorite perennials, just beautiful color. And this starts blooming back in April, and it will bloom all the way into October, November. This isn't really known for its bloom, but this is a cool little compact shrub that's called Abelia confetti. And I use it more for its foliage contrast there against Loropetalum. But as you can see, it's full of white flowers right now, so that gives it some added interest. Up here on the hill, we've got Geranium Mavis Simpson, and it's a little edging perennial that I love. Here's a nice band of it across the front here. I just deadheaded my penstemon yesterday, so that doesn't look its best. And this is kind of the quintessential summer bloom. This is English lavender, just the straight up English lavender. So it's in its full show right now. I've probably got another 3 to 4 weeks before they start to fade on me. And you look over here on this side slope, again you have a couple of varieties of geranium. You can tell it's one of my favorites. This fuchsia or raspberry color is Geranium Russell Pritchard, and then again right next to it is Geranium Roseanne. Up here is white meadling ground cover, and this is its second flush. So it finished its first flush maybe a month ago. I deadheaded it very well, heavily, and I've already got a nice second bloom that's pretty darn showy. And up here, this is a cool plant. You don't see this a lot, but I use it some. This is Rose of Sharon. It's Hibiscus syriacus. And this variety some of you may have is called Hollandia. Beautiful show. Really just started blooming in the last couple of weeks, so mid or early July. But boy, just in this last week has doubled the amount of bloom that you see. And this will be blooming all the way through October typically. So great midsummer bloom, big splash of color. And then you see back there in the background, that is a rose flower carpet, just a regular flower carpet. And I've got that back there. I've got a vine, which I don't really like very much. This is a Happy Wanderer, Hardenbergia violacea. And you see how it's browning out on the left there. One of the reasons I don't use this on my jobs very often is because it's kind of fickle. It overgrows everything. See it growing up there in that shrub. Again, more maintenance for me. But it overgrows everything, and then secondly, they can get disease and insects and end up just kind of crapping out on you. So I don't really recommend this plant very much unless you have a way to contain it on a surface that it can't jump over and do what you see right here on this plant. Here's another plant. A lot of people are surprised I use this in my front yard, but I love this plant. This is Little Red Oleander, and these are 8 or 9 years old, and they're about 3 feet tall, and I never touch them. They're low maintenance. They bloom like crazy. It's hard to see, but there's a lot of beautiful red color here, and they're very heat resistant, and deer don't eat them. Really love that plant. The pink varieties, the pink dwarf varieties, they're not as frost tolerant. This one never gets burned by the frost, and my pink ones do. So if you're going to use dwarf oleander, I recommend the red one. And then this is Salvia clevelandii. It's at the tail end of its bloom. You can see it stressing out a little, see these yellow leaves in there, but you can also see these little tips. That's what's going to refresh the plant. See these here? And they'll come back in. The thing that's weird about these is because they're a California native, you'll cut them back and deadhead them here in July or August, and that little green tip will just sit there usually and not grow back the way most plants would do, because it's set to grow in the winter when the rains show up, and our rains don't show up until November typically in Northern California, and this plant's wired in to deal with that. So it just sits there in huddle mode until it gets what it needs before it really comes back and fills back in the way you would most landscape plants. So just be aware of that. It's one of the reasons I don't use this a lot is A, it's kind of gangly and wild. Some people love that, some people hate it. And then secondly, when you do cut it back, it looks pretty bad for 2 or 3 months at the end of summer. So just be aware of that if you've got this plant. So that's what's blooming in my yard at the end of July here. Just thought I'd share that with you. And if you're designing, these are some of the plants to maybe think about using in your designs to make sure you've got color happening during the middle of summer.